be amended by the people, save for what cannot be amended by the parliament, which have pointed out that it is territory, the tenure of the president, the independent institutions, separation of power, and others. So the question of amendment is a question that should be handled very cautiously, so that we don't usurp the very power of the people that brought this constitution into being. Another important question that I would really like to delve into, despite the fact that the people are sovereign and can really amend the constitution, I really feel that our constitution should not be arbitrarily amended, even through following the right procedure. This is in a bid to ensure that we protect our constitution from arbitrary amendment by those in power. Also, we should also treat this very cautiously, so that we don't interpret the constitution as if it is cast on a stone. A constitution is a living document, and a living document, something living, should also grow. Therefore, we should also give a leeway for constitutional amendment, because as time changes, so do the aspirations of the people. As time changes, so does the will of the people, the prevailing circumstances. So the constitution should also change to meet the current changes in our education, in our institutions. Therefore, let me put this very clear from the onset, that since the constitution provides a mechanism in which it is supposed to be amended, then as long as the due procedure is followed, as long as we follow the procedures, the rule of law, the threshold that has been set, public participation, taking the bill to the county assemblies, then to the national assemblies, as long as those steps are met, then I don't find any reason as to why we should not encourage constitutional amendment, but we should do this with this in mind, that we should not make provisions which are at a risk of taking us backwards, taking us to the dark days when there was executive absoluteness, dark days of human rights violations. So any amendment should be informed by human rights protection, should be informed by ensuring that past injustices are addressed. So any constitutional amendment that is geared towards improving the lives and livelihoods of our citizens, then that should be supported and supported fully. But any constitutional amendment that purports or is geared towards taking us back to the old days, that should be rejected and rejected in totality. I want also to point out that especially those who are in the legal field, although the constitution does not specify that the protection of this constitution is a reserve of the legal mind, but the intensity of sin may be the same, but the gravity of possession differs. So those in the legal field, I feel like they should be at the front line to defend this constitution, and also to encourage and support any amendment that tries to meet the aspirations of the people, any amendment that tries to meet the demands and the requirements of the current times. You'll allow me to delve a bit on the question of popular initiative, the threshold required in public participation and such. And I want to point out from the onset that public participation in a constitutional amendment discourse should be at a very high threshold. In fact, it should be above 50%. Setting such a threshold is important so that at least as a country, when we are making these amendments for whichever purpose, it will be a unanimous agreement of almost the entire country. But I'm pointing this out, bearing in mind that there is also a judicial ruling in the case of county government of Kiambu. It was held that public participation does not necessarily mean that it is involvement of everyone. As long as a substantial number of people are involved, then that suffices to be public participation. But I feel that without trying to question the legitimacy of that judgment, I really feel that in a constitutional amendment process, the threshold should be raised, the bar should be raised to almost cover the wills, the aspirations, the input of almost all Kenyans. So that at least, because a constitution is a living document, and something living has ability to move, to change people's lives, to change almost every aspect of human life. So in essence, what I'm emphasizing on is that in a process of constitutional amendment, the bar should be raised, the threshold of public participation should be raised, so that even the mamamboga, those people are at the lower echelon in the society, when they are making this voting, they should be doing it from a point of information, not from a point of ignorance. Another thing,
Wakili kidogo,
yes.
allow me to interject right now. Okay. Okay. So it's already 8:28. So I think you have like 2 minutes to wrap up. We have the question and answer session, and then maybe if you have more time, we'll continue. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. For the interest of time, I want to point out that a constitution is more than just a set of rules of laws. We've seen it's a reflection of the aspirations of the people. It's a reflection of our fears. It's a reflection of our past. Therefore, it should be defended and protected with utmost dignity. And also, we should also encourage the constitutional amendment that tries to meet the challenges of our time, because a constitution is a living document, and a living document is something living is prone to change and grow. Thank you very much, moderator. I now welcome questions.
So anyone with a question, kindly raise your hand using the reactions down here. If you have a question or concern, this is free legal advice you're getting, so make use of the time. Anyone with a question, raise your hand kindly, and you unmute yourself. So questions, anyone? Okay, as we wait for questions, maybe I can ask. So we are talking about Article 255, 256, and 257. So what is the difference for someone who hasn't read the constitution? What is the difference between the parliamentary initiative and the popular initiative, in your own words?
Parliamentary initiative is an initiative by parliament, whereby parliamentarians, through a vote in parliament, which has a high threshold of about 75%, which is 3/4 of the total members in the parliament, can make constitutional amendments that they really feel that need to be made in the constitution, save for constitutional provisions which are a reserve of the popular initiative. On the popular initiative aspect, this is an aspect whereby the people's voices and the people's input need to be sought first before proposing a bill in parliament for constitutional amendment. A popular initiative basically should emanate from the people. The people should give their views, which they really feel need to be made to the constitution. Then a bill is proposed. A popular initiative also has threshold of 1 million signatures that need to be collected from the people. Then they are taken to the IBC. IBC verifies them. After verification, the bill is taken to the county assemblies. Then the county assemblies, after a majority of them, which is 24 plus assemblies, after unanimously passing the bill, then it is taken to parliament, both houses of parliament, the National Assembly and the Senate. Then after that, if they pass the bill, it is taken back to the people for voting in a referendum.
Thank you. So there's someone who raised their hand. I don't know, it's Echom. Kindly, you can unmute and ask your question. Feel free to ask your question. You raised your hand.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for this session. He has talked about parliamentary initiative and 75% of the members of parliament. This 75%, is it the members who are in that particular session, or we are talking about 75% of the total number of the parliamentarians?
Yeah, a very good question indeed, and a valid one for that matter. It is supposed to be the total number of parliamentarians, because this is in order to avoid executive absoluteness, because the executive can easily marshal about 10, 20, or 100 MPs or any other person, any other Kenyan who feel that he really can change the constitution. He can look for 10, 30 MPs and just tell them, open in parliament, make these constitution changes before the rest realize there is an amendment in the constitution. So to prevent this should be the total number of parliamentarians in that house. 3/4 of them, 75% of the total number of MPs in the house. Thank you.
Any other question? Anyone who has a question? You have, as we wait for anyone to ask, you've talked about the basic structure doctrine, and that is what the president of LSK, Nelson Harvey, used in his argument while at the High Court. So my question is why, and I heard you say, yes, it is applicable in India, but we already have some form of basic structure doctrine in Kenya. What is your thoughts on that? And if you could expound as we wait for others to also raise their question.
Absolutely. So I really feel that the basic structure doctrine has a position in Kenya, which is to the effect that Parliament should not amend the entire constitution through parliamentary initiative. But the basic structure doctrine in Kenya is limited. and it is limited by the application, by the dint of application of Article 1 of the Constitution, which is to the effect that the people are sovereign. So if